Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Woo, welcome
Let's go.
back, traders. How are we
Oh, we
doing?
can.
We have an absolutely beautiful video going over ticker symbol NIO, baby. And in today's video, I wanted to cover where we're at because Nio has been doing a lot on the charts and really, honestly, doing a little fake out breakout action, but I wanted to cover where I think it's going to go and why I think that, right? But before we jump into this, make sure to slap the subscribe button and share the video, right? We're trying to grow the channel actively to 2,000 subscribers, so all the support is appreciated. Love you guys. All right. Nio Stock. I wanted to outline this on Robinhood because Robinhood has the Nio earnings at the 10th of March, right? In the pre-market at 7 cents loss per share. Now, this is and would be one of the best earnings that Nio has shown pretty much almost ever, right? You want to see this trend of continuously increased in less and less and less loss in share, right? Continue the path to profitability because that is what is going to turn the fundamental thesis for this stock, right? If you have a stock that is profitable and has a significant market share of EV in China, guys, this is going to be a beast, right? So that's what we're watching here. Short interest on Nio sitting right around 7.64, so not particularly high, but still something to watch for, right? Increasing is, I think, the more important metric there, right? So on Nio Stock, I wanted to cover, you had this breakout of the bull pennant. Things were looking absolutely juicy. And in my opinion, the less likely of the two scenarios is playing out. And that is the fake out breakout, guys. So you had a breakout bull pennant that typically will lead you most of the time up to $6 from the profit target, but you failed to hold the 50-day EMA and you failed to hold the 200. Now, what becomes of this, right? In my opinion, there's three options here, right? The first option, the more gruesome option here is that you do something like this, right? See a fake out breakout. You go to fill the gap, tap the trend line, and then you go, right? That is option one, and that would be a wild ride, right? You'd see the volume pick up and the volatility ensue. But what I think is more likely here is that you are just establishing a new trend, right? The trend is your friend, and we broke that, right? The falling wedge was an absolute setup. From that falling wedge, you tapped your macro trend line that has been the trend line that broke you out of your even bigger macro picture, right? And that trend line held strong just a week ago or a couple weeks ago, right? And from that is what I think will happen is you are establishing a new trend on the stock, and there is an opportunity here that this becomes a parallel channel, right? And that this becomes your new trading range of higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. And that grind would inevitably get you out of this more macro trading range. But that is what I think is more expected or more realistic here. And in doing so, right, let's get rid of that theoretically. I do believe the third opportunity here is that you just make a tap. You make a tap off of this trend line and you bounce like crazy because every single time you've done that, you have found a bounce and a nice size launch off of it, right? So you look at the past because the past on stocks is so often the best indicator of the future. Everyone's plugging their own indicators. This is my indicator, right? Past reactions from trends or macro indicators. 50%, that was 47%. This one is, right, although it seems small, 23%. So what we are seeing here is a bullish trend hold strong. So that is what we're looking for, is a bullish bounce, a potential gap fill of 454, and then you can turn this thing and send it in the other direction. Something else I wanted to look at on the stock was the macro picture for TradingView, right? I love TradingView because TradingView gives you a very, very simple look at the RSI. Now, I'll pull that up now. RSI, Relative Strength Index. And what you're seeing on the monthly RSI, guys, is that you have, for the first time, broke out in a very big way on the RSI, right? Broke out of this RSI band, you came back, you retested it, and you are finding a bounce where it matters. And that is so significant because that gives you the opportunity to potentially, right, rally into the 50 line, which we call the highway, right? The highway is that checkered line down the middle where the right side, if you turn your head like that, the right side is so often the low liquidity zone. That is where the slow drivers drive. But that left side, guys, is the fast lane. That is where volatility picks up. And you can see once you crossed it here, you ran 100% in a month, right? So often do the most explosive moves happen in this region. And I think it's no surprise to see a rejection off of it the first test. But if you can find a stepping stone trend that takes you back above this significant highway of price action, right? You unlock the doors for squeeze-like moves, right? Moves like this, where if Nio finds and musters the courage to report profitability, you could see some crazy stuff happen, truthfully. And that gets me excited. That gets me jacked, right? For all of the Nio shareholders. Because honestly, Nio shareholders have been almost one of the bedrocks of this channel. You guys are so supportive and love your company. So I have nothing but respect for you guys. And I hope you guys all succeed, right? Let's see. On the weekly, I wanted to cover what this could be, a potential cup or inverted head and shoulders. Could also be a macro cup and handle, right? Which if you took the profit target from that, you're taking the tip of the head to the neckline of the cup, and then you put it on top of the breakout. That takes you around $12. If this was a macro inverted head and shoulders, that takes you to about $20 on Nio Stock. So there is a lot to love about the potential bullish setup here, because regardless of how you see this stock right now, I believe that this is a bullish accumulation structure, and you are entering the exiting part of that, right? And I think there's a lot of signs in the strength that you are showing at these levels that is the case, right? You're seeing this trend line hold strong. You're seeing multiple touches of hidden bullish divergence, right? That right there. Significant lower low, but an equal low on the price, right? So you are getting a macro reset on the RSI to then make another leg higher. I think that is bullish in my opinion. Not financial advice. You know how it is. Slap the subscribe button, because I am here every single day, whether I'm covering Nio, AMC, GameStop. You know we're going to be here. All right. On the daily, is there anything of significant importance? Let's see. You do have a little bit of a trend line here rocking on Nio, and that could be a sign of strength if you revisit and bounce. If you fail to hold, you're likely to go to oversold here and go fill that gap. But that has not happened yet, and that is not a guarantee. But your trend line bounce is looking pretty much exactly at the level of 450 to 460, depending on where you grind down to hit it. Nio Stock has been known to be an absolutely volatile monster, so I would not be surprised to see this thing just absolutely capitulate into the gap fill at 454. So that is really the significant technical analysis on this stock. I wanted to go over IWM and the Fear and Greed Index as well, so make sure to stick around because that is important to Nio's macro look. But on the Fear and Greed Index, we'll give her a little refresh. The stock market still sitting in fear at 43, which is a critical buy sign, right? Buy the fear. And crypto sitting at an extreme fear of 11, which is insane. You saw a bloody day in the markets as IWM flashed down about 1.75%, right? 1.72. And in doing so, guys, you broke that macro trend line that we were talking about. And in my opinion, what that does is that sends you down to this new trend line, right? You established back from early February. And that just happens to match up with the 50-day EMA. So I think there's a lot of support sitting here at 259, which is only 2 schmeckles away. So I'm not going to be surprised if you see a bounce here and then a potential rejection up here at 266 to retest this trend line. If that happens, and this is some kind of ascending triangle, right? Or some kind of bearish triangle structure. It's a very weird structure. I would anticipate a retest, baby, and a gap fill of 249, which sits, right? Which sits right around that profit target of 244, right? So 249, I would not be surprised to see, and this profit target taking place, I would also not be surprised to see. Because you have the 200-day EMA lagging, it would be pretty much set in stone that you would be bouncing off the 200, and that is a fantastic buying opportunity, not financial advice, if that were to occur. All right. I think that's all of the DD and due diligence I have for you guys today. Still not getting the MACD flip on IWM, but we will watch cautiously to see if that happens. I appreciate each and every single one of you guys. It's been a journey. It's been a blast. Thank you to everyone who comments, whether it's bad or good. I'm here for it. I love the community that we found. And I just want to say, God bless each and every single one of you guys. Make sure to slap the like button. And remember, the best is yet to come, guys. Okay, that's enough.